From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to your final statewide edition of Montana This Morning on this Tuesday, November 5th. I'm Augusta McDonnell here with Miller Robson.
Election day.
It is election day and this is our final 4:30 a.m. show.
All right. And I wish I could give you better news on the weather today anyway. But hey, you know, the good news is as we approach the weekend, things looking up, maybe some 60s out there for some spots, at least flirting with that as we head toward the weekend, but not in the next couple of days. In fact, some of us may see temperatures kind of fall as the afternoon progresses. We've got this cold front coming through, so it's chilling things down. We've got temperatures right now in the 30s and 40s. Wind chill factors 20s and 30s. Some of us feeling a good 5 to 10 degrees colder than what the actual temperatures are as we wake up this morning. You can see where we do have some of that snow falling across the region, even some rain in the lower elevations as this early winter storm trudges through. You see we have blizzard warnings, winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories in effect, also high wind warnings in effect. We'll talk all about this with the main forecast coming up, but hang in there. Much better weather news on the way.
All right, Miller, thanks for tracking all of that. Sure. And of course, we are closely watching the final day of the election season. Today, you're probably headed to the polls. Lots of people headed out today, and it's already proven to be one of the most anticipated, with hundreds of thousands of Montanans already having voted absentee. In fact, 73% of absentee ballots have already been returned, and that's a little bit higher in Yellowstone County at nearly 75% returned. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian breaks down the latest numbers on absentee ballots across the state.
While the election doesn't officially end until 8 p.m. on Tuesday, for hundreds of thousands of Montanans, their role in it has already been completed.
I think people are now comfortable with mailing ballots in and submitting ballots early.
As of Sunday night, 395,000 Montanans had returned absentee ballots. That's 73% of the ballots sent out, and already 50% of all registered voters in the state have turned in a ballot. Counties where the largest percentage of residents have already voted include Golden Valley, Teton, and Yellowstone. In Bighorn, Roosevelt, and Richland counties, more than 2/3 of registered voters have yet to turn in a ballot. Statewide turnout has already far surpassed where it was in the June primary, and it's likely many more ballots will be turned in by the deadline. In the 2022 election, almost 200,000 more people voted on the last Monday and Tuesday. In 2020, the last presidential election, 612,000 people voted in Montana, a turnout of 81%. That election was held almost entirely by mail during the COVID pandemic.
Montana always has high voter turnout, but often we see it more in the 70s. So this election, I expect to have a high turnout. I'm not sure we'll reach 2020 levels because it's not entirely being done by mail.
Jeremy Johnson chairs the political science department at Carroll College. He says the intense spending and heavy campaigning by both sides in Montana's Senate race may not make voters happy, but he doesn't expect it's going to keep them away from the polls.
It depresses people, but it seems to drive up turnout by having lots and lots of money spent.
If you still need to register to vote or to update your registration, Election Day registration will be available on Tuesday, usually at the main county elections office like the one you see behind me here in Helena. Contact your local election administrator to find out where you need to go. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
Jonathan, thanks so much. And one of the most watched issues on this year's ballot here in Montana is CI 128, a measure to enshrine the right to an abortion in the Montana Constitution. Our Charlie Kleps has more.
It seems like almost everyone's got an opinion these days when it comes to the controversial topic of abortion. The Catholic Church is one of the biggest opponents of CI 128, but the initiative has plenty of supporters of its own, and many campaigning in unique ways.
Wealthy outsiders are driving up the cost.
In a time when thousands of dollars are spent on political campaigns, one Billings resident is keeping it simple.
Just kind of want to make it visual and, just get people out to the polls.
That's why for the past 3 days, you could find Bailey Desper here, near the intersection of Broadwater and Division, holding this sign.
It's really important to me because, Roe v. Wade was the law of the land for over 50 years. And with that being overturned, over 10 states have completely banned abortion completely. And CI 128 aims to protect that at the state level, and that's what we really need for women's rights.
Desper is advocating for the most tense measure on the ballot Tuesday night, CI 128, which if passed would make a change to the Montana Constitution that would protect abortion in the state.
It shouldn't be up to one individual or one government to make that decision for them.
It's certainly a divisive topic. While Desper is doing this, just last week a large rally was held in Helena advocating against the initiative.
CI 128 is not in the best interest of women, children, or families.
Derek A. Stryker is an attorney who works on the Montana Family Foundation Chief Legal Counsel, an advocate against the initiative.
If you're voting yes on CI 128, you're voting for a radical expansion of abortion up to the moment of birth.
And he argues that abortion is currently legal in Montana and that passing the initiative would take it too far.
You have set before you life and death, and a vote no is a choice for life.
Both last-minute campaigns emphasizing the importance of voting, with polls closing Tuesday.
Your vote is your superpower, essentially, and without your vote, it's like, what do we have?
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
Charlie, thanks so much. Chronic wasting disease was first identified in Montana back in 2017, and since then, the disease has slowly grown to several locations across the state. MTN's Chet Lehman takes a look at an FWP effort to find how prevalent it is in the Gallatin River area, following 2 recent confirmed cases.
This is the Gallatin River. It runs through the heart of the Gallatin Valley. Deer and elk use this area, and some of them have chronic wasting disease. CWD has been found in the Gallatin Valley for a while. It's now been confirmed in this river area.
We've recently found 2 white-tailed deer along the Gallatin River that tested positive for CWD. I believe both of those were actually road-killed animals that we took samples from. So we know that it's here, but we're looking for more information to better understand at what level that disease is here.
FWP looking for data from animals in this 2-mile wide corridor centered on the Gallatin River, from Cameron Bridge south to Gallatin Gateway. Their best source of information? Those who hunt those animals.
Hunters play a key role in that effort because hunters are the main mechanism by which we can collect samples to understand where CWD is occurring and at what prevalence, and also to reduce prevalence levels when we have high concentrations of them.
CWD has to be confirmed from lymph nodes taken from the base of the animal's brain. That doesn't mean animals with suspected symptoms should be discounted.
Physical symptoms alone aren't enough to diagnose the presence of CWD. Although if people see animals that appear sick, and specifically if they have limited mobility, that's an indicator where we may be interested in following up on those types of reports.
FWP's website has more information about CWD sampling. It also has locations where you can take your carcass in to have a technician sample it for you. At the Cameron Bridge on the Gallatin River, Chet Lehman, MTN News.
Chet, thanks so much. And it was a busy weekend of playoff football across Montana with dozens of teams chasing state championships. In order to win a title, it involves great plays by great players. MTN's Tom Wiley breaks down the top 5 game changers.
Well, the calendars turn to November, which means the air gets chillier, the stakes get higher, and the plays get better as we dive headfirst into the postseason. This week's MTN Game Changers features first-round football playoff highlights and championship performances from the soccer pitch.
At number 5, CMR at Helena in Class AA late in the third, and check out the one-handed interception from Damon Montano. Take another look. A fine feat of athleticism, but Helena wins 34-12. At number 4, Sentinel at Bozeman. Second play from scrimmage, Cash Embry on play action airs it out to Evan Hewen, and he goes 78 yards for the first score of the game, but Sentinel would knock off the defending champs 42-19. At number 3, Class A boys title, Central and Whitefish in overtime. Bowman sights on the set piece. Sophomore Sawyer Gunther gets his head on it for the go-ahead score, and the Rams earn their first state title since 2009, 3-2 over the defending champs in overtime. At number 2, Senior and West in the AA boys final. We head to penalty kicks after a scoreless tie. First attempt for West, Jack Switzer turns it away, and that would be the difference. The Bronx win 5-4 in PKs to claim their first title since 2004. And at number 1, Big Fork and Whitefish in the playoffs. Carson Gulick from 2 yards out. He's upended into the end zone, and that's a game-winning touchdown. Take another look at the flip. Whitefish wins 24-21. They advance to face Billings Central in the quarterfinals. And we're always looking for viewer submissions, so if you see something you think we should see, send an email to scores@montanasports.com and tell us how to find the video, or tag us on social media, and we'll do our best to include it in next week's edition of Game Changers. Tom Wiley, MTN Sports.